Bit of an impromptu video this morning. It's a Saturday morning for you guys. You guys are probably viewing this at night, but it's crazy because I was just on Facebook Marketplace early this morning. I couldn't sleep, and there was a Pontiac GTO, which you never normally see. You'll see like a Le Mans or something like that pop up, but this one claims that it is a true blue Pontiac GTO, 100% through and through. So we're going to go out and check this out with my dad because he just got rid of his 1968 Camaro, and I guess he just can't live without a muscle car because I texted over to him and was like, hey, what do you think about this? And he's like, I'm going to come pick you up. Let's go take a look at this thing. So we're going to hit the road here, head about maybe 30 minutes down the road and check this vehicle out. There it is.
Hey, making out. Good, I got the
1968 Pontiac GTO.
Okay, that's cool.
And, the front I had some rope.
The hood's on, it's not lined up or anything.
That's okay. You're putting taking it on, whatever. So. Yeah. And I started putting some of the parts in here. I didn't know if we wanted to paint it here or not.
That's good.
If he comes in on more of an angle, like cuts, it should work.
Or do the brakes work now? We'll just coast it on.
They should work.
You're good.
Yep, loading her up. My trailer skills have got a lot better. It only took me 2 tries here to get this thing in the driveway. It's tough because you got to cut the wheel here, get it in, avoid the curb, and we're going to try and get this thing all loaded up. So far, the brakes don't work, so we're bleeding them, trying to get those to work because it would suck to have this thing go rolling down the trailer. Strapped up, ready to go. Definitely pretty. We're gonna see how pretty we can actually make her look though. This is my dad's vehicle. Obviously he's nice enough to let me showcase it on the channel. I'd say trading up to a pretty sweet GTO, the GOAT. Let's go. The GTO home to its resting place quite some time. Woo! Well, you made it about a month without an old muscle car.
Yeah. Another project.
Yep, definitely a project. You guys can follow us along every step of the way.
Day 2.
So everything's completed. The car's been trailered. We have the title transferred over. And now the 68 GTO is sitting in the garage. So the only thing is, it's very easy, from what I've heard and seen online and forums and all that stuff, to take a Le Mans or there was some other Pontiac car that you could take these and it would look just like a GTO, be like a GTO clone. Considerably less valuable, a lot less rare, and definitely not as sought after. So I'm a little worried because I'm such a novice at identifying these type of things. But yeah, so what happened was my father had the 68 Camaro, sold that, and the first car that he owned was a Pontiac GTO. I saw this pop up on Facebook Marketplace, asked him about it. I'll show the text on the screen here because it's actually pretty funny how quickly decisions can be made. Next thing you know, this thing's sitting in his garage, assuming this is not the factory color, because whenever we take a look inside here, you can see the original blue, which I don't know the exact name for that, but I know it did come in it. I'll throw the actual swatch on the screen of all the different colors that these vehicles came in. So a couple things that I noticed whenever we were doing this and just whenever with the seller was the front end here. I mean, it makes it look like it's like, oh, this must have been an accident or something like that. Well, no, this just happens to be third party, an aftermarket part. This is fiberglass on the front here, and then down below here, this is also fiberglass, and you can see the actual fibers down here. So on the original OEM part, it was a rubber coated steel piece. If this does turn out by the end of this to be a legit GTO, we definitely are on the lookout for OEM parts, because I don't know what is original manufacturer on this. If is this hood original, fenders, doors, all that stuff, because that's what you want with these classic cars. You don't want something from China slapped on here that just doesn't look right, and I'll show you that on a couple spots where stuff may have not been done 100% on this vehicle. The trunk here, actually in great shape. There's a few things on this car that are in really good shape. And from back here on camera, this thing probably looks like just a mint GTO with no engine and transmission in it. But then whenever you start to do some digging and know what you're looking at, you can see some definitely weird stuff here on the quarter panels. Then on the other hand, this vehicle came with 2 trunk lids. So we have this one here, which the seller was a little proud of, has a little bit of rust, but then this one over here you guys can't see too well, but is the original. I don't know if it's exactly to this GTO, I'm assuming it's not, but in pretty decent shape original trunk lid. Radiator, seats, interior, it's almost complete, just missing the engine and transmission. This might be a long shot, but if anyone knows of a 68, 69, 70 GTO in either their possession or around you that would have these parts, we would love to make this thing 100% with as close to factory as we possibly can. The engine bay is pretty clean here, painted up, looks pretty good, and we're thinking if we can put the 5.3 that's in the Silverado here plus the transmission bolted up to this, and we would have a really reliable, probably the most reliable 68 you'd have on the road today. On the rear end here, we have a factory 12-bolt posi rear end. The gear ratio we may have to swap out here. We don't know what we're going to do with that yet. There's a lot of stuff we don't know what direction we're going to go yet, because it's like we could strip this thing down, make it a huge project, do it upright, where everything lines up correctly, repaint it, all that. But obviously you guys know once we start that, this car is no longer going to be really roadworthy any more than it is right now. But it just sucks. Once you make that first cut, first time you start sanding it or something like that, the vehicle is down for a very, very long time. And I'm not saying much just because we don't have the engine in it, but honestly, I don't think that's going to be that big of an issue. So I know on a Mustang, not that I'm the Mustang expert, but there's a lot of telltale signs that would give it away if it's Shelby or if it's just a regular GT or even a V6. So with a GTO, with my own experience, knowledge, I don't know if it's like, hey, I look at the taillights here, it's like, ooh, this is weird, this would be off of Le Mans, or what's the other one called, Tempest?
Tempest.
Whenever I look at this, maybe you viewers can tell me, and I know you're screaming at me to look at the VIN number. I'm kind of saving that for last because I'm nervous. I'm definitely nervous because even the VIN number may not mean that it's 100%, because I know people can take those off and put new ones on. Although illegal, it definitely happens. So on the interior here, like a bumper, like this big pad up here is aftermarket. The seller here added these like little stick-on rubberized, I think it's like silicone almost. It was supposed to look like a wood grain that you would see on a Cadillac or something like that. And then an OEM, this is original dash right here, all these parts here. This piece is aftermarket, just the cap for, I'm assuming this is to get to the glove compartment, but everything else here, all OEM factory, and I definitely like to see that. You want to see as much of that on a classic car like this as possible, because all the history then is with this one car. It's not pieced together. One last thing here, we're taking the 5.3 from a 2019 Silverado and the transmission and sticking it in a car that's 50 years older than the Silverado here that we're taking the engine out of. So we're going to see how that can work. I think it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome to have a reliable engine in it. It makes great power. It's still going to sound good. I think they have Flowmasters on this currently. We'll see if we stick with that or maybe go a different direction. But yeah, I want to know your guys' advice on that. That is something I don't think very few have done. So let me know if, I'm sure it's possible. I'm wondering how challenging it's going to be to fit all these electronics in here from a car that is beyond just generations newer. So going to be a lot of fun. Another thing that's a little puzzling with some of the decisions that were made on this vehicle before it was in our possession was, I know that GTOs did come with this as an option where you have the RPM counter up here on the hood. I think it's pretty cool. It'd be awesome if that would have been factory. But you take a look under here where the guy just put this, I mean, that is a massive hole. I guess you have to drill that just because that's for the counter for the RPM, like the little motor where it decides where it's going. This is electronic, isn't it?
Factory tack, yeah.
It looks like it was done with a Sawzall. Like, I don't even know. Just, that's definitely not the way these looked from the factory. So this is just a little gimmick toy. And I think what it was, not to come at the seller, because this is a good looking car. From here, it's a good looking car. But it definitely seems like this was purchased, maybe not from him, but the previous owner, and was like, how quickly can we get this GTO on the road to look like a respectable GTO? But whenever you actually get down to the nitty gritty, it wasn't put back 100%. Just stuff isn't lining up, and it's pretty difficult to not just do that, but once it's done, it's difficult to remedy it once those parts are put on and fixated that way. So whenever you have these weird body panel gaps here, we're going to try and tighten that stuff up and make this thing look 100%. So onto the VIN number here. I'm no expert, but the little bit of research I've done, there's going to be a massive glare. I'll just put a picture up on the screen for you guys so that you can see it. So the VIN number that we see here, the number 2, from my knowledge, means that this is a Pontiac vehicle. So Pontiac on the front, that matches because it is a Pontiac. And the next 2 numbers are the most important, so we'll come back to those. Next is the 37, which means this is a 2-door coupe, which matches, that's what it is. Doesn't tell us too much though. And the 8, also a very important number because that is the year that it was manufactured. So this being claimed being a 1968 Pontiac GTO, the 8 there matches for the year 1968. So back to those other 2 numbers. There's a whole bunch of different stuff that can happen with these 2 different numbers, because they can identify this being a GTO, a Le Mans, or a Tempest, and I think a few other vehicles that Pontiac makes that aren't just their coupe version vehicles. So on this one, we have a 42, and from my knowledge and the forums that I've looked up and all that different stuff, this is a good Pontiac GTO, which is awesome. That's great, and it matches the title on top of it. So there's a few other things that we can do here just to really identify, make sure this thing is legit, but so far this is a Pontiac GTO, and I don't see any reason why from the stuff I saw that would deem that it is not. It's crazy. My dad's been looking for a GTO ever since he got rid of his probably well over 30 years ago. So it's really cool that he's able to get this vehicle back, and it's sad that the Camaro's gone, but now that void is filled with a new project that we can both have on the channel and have a lot of fun with. So I'm excited you guys are here along for the journey. I'm sure this video is not going to do too great just because it's an old muscle car. It's been done so many times before, but I definitely want to do this just for the sake of being able to spend time with my dad and have a lot of fun doing that stuff with him. So like I said before in the video, if you guys know of any like local parts or something on Facebook Marketplace where it's like a new bumper to a GTO or something like that, we're looking for, it seems, a right side passenger door, I'm trying to think here, original OEM hood. We're not looking for like a Le Mans or something like that hood. We want an actual GTO hood, and then that front bumper as well. So yeah, those three parts are the main ones. But pretty much anything that you guys can throw my way, I would love to see it on Instagram, RFRacing717. Hit me on the DMs. If you guys do not follow me already, make sure you do that so you can get me some info just to help us out with this build, because it's very hard to find legit OEM parts, and I would hate to go to the catalog where everything's from Taiwan and China. So thank you guys so much for watching. Likes are appreciated. This video is going to do so bad, so if you like classic muscle cars, write down in the comments, just say the GOAT, because GTO's nickname back in the day was the GOAT. Thank you guys so much for watching. Wife just got home. Love you guys.